Welcome to the Let's Get Vulnerable podcast. It's your host, Dr. Morgan. How are you? Just checking in. I know the holidays are here. Sometimes we can feel kind of some stress and pressure about what are the holidays supposed to be like, or you might already be thinking about all the gifts you're supposed to get. But my hope for you is that you can actually use this time to really slow down a little bit, reconnect to yourself, tune into what's really important for you, and think about your identity for 2025. I think it's so important to intentionally connect to where are we going. And if you are someone who wants to get a head start on becoming securely attached and easily attracting that emotionally available ideal partnership, I have probably one of the best offers that we've ever done for the Empowered.Secure.Loved program. This is our Black Friday Secure Love Bundle offer. This is ridiculous, you guys. Like, when you enroll in the program for this offer during this limited time, you're going to get over $2,000 worth of bonus content at no additional cost. This is including the Boundaries Queen audio course. This is a course designed to help you do all the inner work so that you can easily set boundaries, because it's not just about giving you a script. It's not telling you how to. It's about doing the deep internal work and rewiring your brain so that boundaries become easy. So that course is included. Also, my brand new, never released before, Stop the Spiral guided meditations for secure attachment. These are 10 meditations to support you on your healing journey. They're going to help you with regulating your nervous system and help you with embodying your securely attached self. So these have never before been released. They're going to be super high value, and you could access them at any time that you need to during your healing journey. And then finally, you're also going to get the Attract the One guided journal. This is also brand new. I've been working on these things specifically for you all for this special offer. And the journal is wonderful because it's a lot of prompts to guide you through who do you need to become to attract that person. It's all about that inner work, the identity work, and you'll have it in a guided journal format. Not only do you get all of this at no cost, obviously you also get the program, and you will get up to $1,000 off of tuition. So this is our biggest sale. If you have been on the fence, this is the time. And the first 10 people to join the program, you're also going to get a very special gift. And I will share that with you later on because I don't want to spoil the surprise. But later on in this episode, I will tell you what the first 10 of you will also be getting in the mail when you enroll in the program. Okay. I'm excited about this episode. Okay, I was walking with my partner. We were going on a walk. We try to walk a minimum of 2 miles when we go. I would tell you it's every day, but it's not true. It's more like 3 to 4 times a week. We go on like a 2-mile walk together, and it's so powerful. It's like really quality time. But we were walking today and I was like, hey, I need to record the episode for the show tomorrow. What should I talk about? And I was like, what if I talked about the secrets to our relationship? Like, we have a super healthy, loving, fun, connected, mostly securely attached relationship. What do you think if I talked about the secrets? And he was like, absolutely. You should totally talk about that. And then we brainstormed together and we came up with this list of the 10 secrets of why we feel like our relationship is thriving. And I think those of you listening, you're going to definitely be able to apply this. And I know that these are going to be super, super helpful, whether you're in a relationship, dating, or single, I think these are some of the key things to long-term healthy partnership, right? It's one thing to just be able to get in a relationship and it lasts a couple months and then you're done. It's a whole other level to maintain relationships for a long time and to maintain the intimacy, the connection, the fun, to have that thriving relationship for a long time. That takes a whole different set of awareness. So I want to share this with you. I think you're really going to love this list. I'm going to give you 10 things. And this was once again co-created with my fiance, Robert. So this is from both of us to you. And I really hope that it's helpful. So number one, this has to get mentioned. Number one, we're both really good at taking ownership. If I do something wrong, if I make a mistake, what did I do the other day? I don't know. I think I said something like, "Oh, well, that's only going to take 10 minutes." And he was like, "Actually, I think it's going to take more like 30." I'm classic me. I don't know if anyone else is like this, where you always think things are going to take way less time than they actually do, right? Hello, ADHD. I struggle with task analysis at times, and I always way underestimate how long something's going to take. So I was like, it's just going to take 10 minutes. Guess what? He was totally right. It took more like 30 minutes. And then I ended up being late for something, and it was this whole thing. And I could have been annoyed. I could have been like, oh, I can't believe, I'm so annoyed about this. But instead I was like, hey, I wanted to let you know you were totally right. And I was wrong. That did take way longer than I thought. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it made us late. And that's a tiny example of the ways that we take ownership. And he is also incredibly good at taking ownership. And we have no issue being wrong. I see a lot of couples that create tension because they're not taking ownership. They're getting defensive. They're blaming other people. They're blaming circumstances. They're blaming their lack of sleep. They're blaming all kinds of things and they're not taking ownership. So I think that's a huge piece of why we have such a healthy connection. Ownership. Number two, patience. I'll be totally honest with you. Robert is way more patient than I am. I'm not the most patient person. However, I really have worked on it and it's a growth area for me. And I think I'm becoming more and more patient, partly with his help. But I think sometimes when you're in a relationship, you may see something before your partner sees it. You may realize that, oh, if only they approached it this way, then they would have a better outcome. And sometimes you feel tempted to just make them see it your way, when in reality, if you could just be patient, if you could just be understanding of where they are, it goes a long way. I think patience also comes into play when you know that your partner's struggling or they had a rough day and you have that level of grace and patience, right? But yeah, I would say once again, Robert's so much better at this than I am, and he's incredibly patient with me and kind. So number two, patience. Number three, this one's big. I want to talk about this one for a minute. Okay. It's this, the desire for intimacy and closeness. We have a similar level of intimacy that we desire. We want to be close. And I don't mean physically, although that's part of it. I mean emotionally, I mean intellectually, understanding the way that we both think and what we care about and what's going on in our hearts and minds. We desire intimacy. And if you've ever spent any time in the dating pool, one thing I think you'll realize is that people have different levels of intimacy that they desire. not everyone wants to be super close to their partner. Not everyone wants to be super vulnerable and open up and share who they are, right? And obviously that takes time, but I can tell you 3 years in, we are very comfortable with being vulnerable and we're very comfortable with intimacy and opening up to one another. And we both desire that. We want it for ourselves. And we want to understand each other on a really deep level. So I think that's really important that we have a similar desire for closeness. We want to be close. And not only do we want it, we're comfortable with closeness. Hello, healing attachment wounds, right? If I had not healed, there would be no way that I could accept the level of closeness that he brings and that level of vulnerability and intimacy. But since I have done a lot of work, which I'll talk about, that's another point on this list. But since I have done that work, I'm open to receiving. I'm comfortable with intimacy. And same for him. And what's interesting about our story is I know when we dated in 2011, we dated in undergraduate first. And that's a whole other story I won't get into. But guess what? We were not comfortable with intimacy at that time in terms of real, true emotional investment, vulnerability, deeply sharing. We were not comfortable in 2011 like we are now. So I think it's a big part of why we have to do the work so that we can become comfortable with intimacy. Okay, I better get going because I got to get through these things here, and they're all important. So I'm going to continue. Number 4 is interdependence, and we have solo Saturdays. Why do those go together? Interdependence is this: I depend on myself, and I also depend on you. I'm comfortable with me, and I also love spending time with you. We want interdependence. We don't want codependence. We don't want hyper independence. We want this beautiful, beautiful middle ground of interdependence where you have your own life and you have your life with your partner, not in a compartmentalized way whatsoever, but so that you are showing up as a whole person. You're showing up capable of self-soothing and also asking your partner for support. And one way that we have found really helps us with maintaining our individual identities and still being whole individuals is we intentionally spend time apart. And this doesn't get talked about enough, how important this is. We've done this for years now. We have something called Solo Saturdays where we do our own thing. I don't even ask him what he's up to, although I can tell you most of the time it's fishing, y'all. Like, it's not rocket science. Like, I know what he's up to. He's fishing. And I would guess he would say, well, I know what she's up to. She's probably up to coffee and yoga somewhere with a friend, right? Like, we're pretty predictable. But that solo time is so important. That time where I'm just going off doing my own thing, it allows me to miss him. And we also have a ton of solo time because of my travel. Now that I'm doing a ton of interviews and I've been doing some speaking and traveling for work, we get a ton of time apart, and that helps us really maintain that interdependence where we still have our individual identities as well as a really healthy connection. You need both. You need both. In the words of Esther Perel, I say this all the time: desire needs a bridge to cross. When we become codependent with our partners, if we're spending all our time with our partners, there's no desire. There's no distance. I can't miss you, right? So we have to maintain our individual selves. Otherwise, we kill the connection, we kill the passion, we kill the desire. So, number 4, interdependence and solo Saturdays. That's just what I have called it, obviously. You could call it something else, but it's that time where I just get to do whatever I want. Okay, number 5. This one's kind of funny because, yeah, I'll just say it. Number 5 is we fight well. And you could say we have conversations. If fight has a negative connotation, whatever you want to say, we deal with conflict well. I guarantee you, you will always fight. In a relationship that's close, you'll fight. If you have distance in the relationship, if there's not a ton of intimacy and there's not a ton of closeness, it's true that maybe you don't argue. When I do couples therapy, which was my specialty for quite a while, I would be so worried when couples would come and say that they never fight. You know what that's a sign of? It's a sign of lack of intimacy. It's a sign of being shut down. When we're close, there's conflict, but it's all about how do you do the conflict. And Robert and I have learned how to have conflict conversations in a way that's super healthy, in a way that makes our relationship stronger. We're really good at listening to one another, at regulating our emotions, at pausing. If we feel like we're getting too emotionally dysregulated, being able to say, hey, I think I need to take a break, right? I need to come back to this conversation. And what I love is we're both very good at validating each other. So really, when he's expressing something, I can say, hey, what I hear you saying is, and he does the same for me. So we go through conflict in a really healthy way, in a way that makes us a stronger couple. And you'll see couples who go the distance, who last a long time, this is a common thing. They've learned how to argue in a way that is respectful, that doesn't cause damage to the relationship. And on the other side of it, you come out stronger. That's such a key thing in a healthy relationship. Okay, number 6, and this one is really, really important. You've heard me talk about it on other episodes. Number 6 is reassurance. Both of us offer reassurance when needed, and we're not afraid to ask for reassurance. One of the ways I do this is through physical touch. Any of you like me, where physical touch is a big part of how you regulate your attachment system. This would be a whole other episode, but when you think about creating secure attachment, one of the things that's really key is knowing what are your partner's love languages. One of my top ones is physical touch, and then the other one's words of affirmation. But so an example of me asking for reassurance, I could at any given time be like, hey, I am feeling a little bit disconnected from you. I'm missing you. Isn't that a beautiful thing when we can miss our partners? I'm missing you. I want to be close to you. And then I can say, can you just hug me? Can you just hug me for a couple minutes? And I get emotional thinking about this because he just gives me the sweetest look. There's so much love at the way that he looks at me, and he'll just hug me. He'll just hug me for as long as I need. And I'm telling you, even though I hang out in a securely attached place a lot of the time, reassurance is part of that. And being able to ask for reassurance is a sign of a securely attached relationship. And the great paradox of reassurance is this: you will ask for a lot of it in the early stages of a relationship because you're building it. It's like the building blocks of a healthy, secure attachment. And then the more secure you become, the less reassurance you need. Some relationships, though, you never got the reassurance you needed in the early stages, and you were just going to keep feeling like you have to ask and ask and ask and ask years and years into the relationship. So, reassurance, being able to ask for it and to offer it to your partner is just such a key thing. And that's something that Robert and I do really well. And you all know he has the benefit of being with the quote unquote relationship expert. But let me tell you, I'm not perfect. I don't always do everything perfectly. I have to, I'm human. But one of the things I did really well is I've really modeled good communication in terms of owning my emotional experience and using I statements. If you have one person in the relationship that's modeling good communication with I statements, it goes a long way. And one of the things I taught Robert early on was that beautiful, magical phrase, you should try it out, of the story I'm telling myself is, right? The story I'm telling myself is I'm not a priority, or the story I'm telling myself is that you're going to go, this was a real thing in our relationship. You're going to go visit Florida and you're going to realize how much you missed it and you're going to want to move back there. And that's going to be the end of our relationship, right? You have to go listen to my engagement episode if you want the whole story. But basically, he ended up moving to Montana with me and he'd been in Florida previously. So, anyways, I modeled really healthy communication. And now he uses phrases like, the story I'm telling myself is, I felt blank when blank happened, right? We use really good communication. All right, I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but that was supposed to be number 6 of reassurance, being able to ask for it and offer it. I'm going to move on. Number 7. This is one of my favorites. We express a ton of appreciation for each other. So much appreciation constantly, to the point where I'm like, if someone was just like a fly on the wall, would they be like, wow, that's a lot of appreciation. But I can tell you that the gratitude, the acknowledgement, it goes so far. When you feel seen and appreciated in a relationship, just the level of safety that you feel. I've been in relationships where I did not feel appreciated, where I felt like everything I did was wrong. And a lot of the communication just felt like criticism. Like I was constantly getting like a negative review. And of course, some of that was me. I'm not 100% blaming the other people, but to be in a relationship where you're getting acknowledged for the ways that you're showing up, and it's little things, right? It's like, hey, I know you were so tired and you had had such a long day, but you still made the time to work with me on this project, or you still showed up and you cooked dinner and you were so present with me, even though you were exhausted. Seeing your partner, acknowledging when they're showing up, expressing appreciation, it goes so far. It goes so far. And we do that a lot. And I think it's actually one of the things that helps us stay so connected and helps us feel really safe. Moving on, this one is classic, right? I think a lot of people will underestimate just how helpful this is. And number 8 is humor. I can be funny, but I'm more often than not serious. I think a lot of people know that about me. I'm pretty, you know, analytical. I have the clinical training, and I think I would say I'm a bit of a dreamer. I'm in my head a lot. I'm always sort of connected to my emotional self, and I'm just kind of like, and I don't know how to describe myself, but I would not describe myself as naturally funny. Although sometimes I think I'm hilarious and I just laugh at myself. And I don't know if other people think I'm funny. Anyways, this is going on a weird tangent. What I'm trying to say is Robert is the funny one in the relationship, and he's quick-witted, and I won't even tell you guys some of the stuff that he says. But he just has a way of bringing humor to any situation and kind of lightening whatever we're going through. And it just goes a long way. I think you need someone in the relationship that's not quite as serious, that can make you laugh, that can make you giggle. And he's always been that way. Even when we dated in 2011, I can tell you guys, he's always been funny and he makes me laugh. So maybe that's you. Maybe you're the funny one, but I do think it helps if in every couple there's one person at least that just brings a little bit of lightness and humor. Okay, number 9. I kind of already touched on this, but I'll just say it again. Open, honest, direct communication. You have to be, let's just acknowledge honesty is the bare minimum. If you don't have honesty, you don't have a relationship. But the open and directness, that takes building secure attachment. A lot of times that takes healing. People struggle with direct communication. I probably don't have to tell you that. You know it. A lot of people are passive. A lot of people are aggressive. And then we have a lot of people that communicate passive aggressively. And sometimes you can just feel like you're walking on eggshells or you're having to read the other person's mind. And that does not make for a securely attached, emotionally safe relationship. If I'm having to try to read your mind, if I'm walking on eggshells, how can I feel emotionally safe? How can I be willing to be vulnerable, right? We have to cultivate open, honest, direct communication from both people. So you want to show up that way, and obviously, you also want your partner showing up that way. And that's something that Robert and I have worked on. I think I led that. There's always someone in the relationship that's a little bit more comfortable with that style of communication. We were actually talking about it today, how at one point he was kind of healing from people pleasing tendencies. And for him, I remember in the beginning of our relationship, he was at this place where if he was just communicating assertively, just communicating directly is still kind, he experienced it as aggressive. So for those of you who are recovering from people pleasing, assertive might feel like it's aggressive, but it's just because you're not used to it. And it's been really cool to watch Robert just get more and more comfortable with direct communication. And now he doesn't have that same feeling of feeling like, oh, am I being too much? Am I being too aggressive? Like, no, you're just communicating what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you need. And actually, that is the most kind and loving thing you can do. Assertive is kind, right? So open, honest, direct communication is a must. Okay, we are blazing through these. Oh, and I have some bonuses. So I have 10, but then I have 2 bonuses. But before I tell you the next 3 things, and they're very juicy, I think you're going to love them, I have a special announcement. This has been a long time in the works, and it is finally here. I've been working so hard on this after a lot of design tweaks and a lot of time put into this. I have officially launched the very first Let's Get Vulnerable podcast merch. So this is in celebration of the podcast. I want all of you who have listened to the show, who celebrate the show, this is for you, okay? And the merch is, drum roll please, the Boundaries Are Hot hat. If you are watching this on YouTube, you'll see I'm like showing off the hat. And I love this hat. It's the beautiful, neutral, like sand color. And then it has the white letters and it says, Boundaries Are Hot. And it's perfect. This is a great gift for yourself to celebrate your own healing journey. Also a great gift for someone who you know is really working on healing themselves and you've noticed how much they're putting in the work. I feel like this is the perfect gift. So you can actually buy this hat now, you guys. You can get Let's Get Vulnerable podcast merch. The Boundaries Are Hot hat. It is in the show notes. Go to the link in the show notes. You can get your very own. This is a limited drop. We're only going to do a limited number. So make sure you get yours. If you know that you need that hat, go get it. And I feel like this is a perfect segue because boundaries are hot, right? Like open, honest, direct communication. As I started healing and I started setting my own boundaries, I started to become so attracted to people who could set theirs. I think the only time that you're frustrated with boundaries is when you aren't setting your own. The more you heal, the more you get comfortable setting your own boundaries, you will find that boundaries from other people are so attractive. So that's why I love this. I just love this saying that I've had for years now because it's just such a symbol of your healing, right? When you say, wow, boundaries are hot, it's a sign of, yeah, they are, because I am doing so much healing that I have my own boundaries and I respect them in other people. So this hat is near and dear to my heart. And obviously, when you order a hat, it's a wonderful way to say thank you for the show. And it means the world to me. It really does. Um, Having a small business, I don't often talk about it, but I can tell you guys, I have poured my blood, sweat, and tears and all my time and energy into this business for the last 4 or 5 years. And it literally takes everything and I love it and it's my passion. But when you do something like go get a hat, it just means the world to me. So if you want to show your support for the show, this would be a great way to do that. You can just go order it, use the link in the show notes. I'm so excited. And please, if you do get one and you get it in the mail, put it on, take a picture, throw it up on your Instagram stories, tag me at Dr. Morgan Coaching because I want to see you wearing it and then I will reshare and I'll shout you out. Once again, I appreciate you for being part of this community, whether you are brand new or you've been here for the whole time we've had the show. I appreciate you and it just means the world. I can't really put it into words, but I'm so grateful. All right, back to these final pieces that I want to share with you. This is number 10. Okay, number 10 of the secure secrets is this: scheduling. And I know that sounds so unsexy. This is just a very practical, logistical thing. My partner and I always sit down Sundays. We plan out our week and we make sure that we know what each other has going on. So we're planning out our week and we are aware of what's happening for each other. And on top of that, we're really, really tuned into how can we support each other. So this is part of attunement, being highly attuned to each other's needs. If he knows there's a day where I am like on Zoom for 10 hours, what's he going to do? He's going to make sure that he has dinner ready for me when I'm done. He's going to make sure that if I need extra support that he's there. He's going to take care of the dogs. He's going to show up in any way that he can to make sure that I feel supported and vice versa, right? Like when he's guiding, he's fly fishing guide and I know that he's gone for 12 hours a day doing that job. I would make sure to have dinner ready. I would make sure to send him a sweet text as he's getting on the river at 6 a.m. and saying how proud I am and how much I love that he's following this passion, right? Like it's all about showing up and being highly attuned, but you can't do that if you don't know what's going on in your partner's life. So this scheduling thing, I know it sounds small, but it makes a huge difference. Just knowing what we both have each week and being on that same page, it makes a world of difference. Okay, 2 bonuses. Are you ready? Number 11. This kind of goes along with what I said, but this is a good one. Thoughtfulness. Being thoughtful. I think Robert's the most thoughtful human I've ever met. He has so much kindness and he's constantly thinking of ways that he can show me that he cares. He loves doing acts of service. And I've learned that that's one of the ways he expresses love, and it's one of his love languages. So I appreciate it so much when he's thoughtful. And this goes back to being attuned, prioritizing your partner, making sure that you know, okay, what's going on in their life? How can I show up? How can I support them? It's the littlest things, right? It's like, oh, um, I'll tell you an example from today. I was talking with him about, okay, we got to get the Christmas shopping going. We got your family, we've got my family, we've obviously got each other. We got to get on this Christmas list. While I was at an appointment, I saw that a shared note was created on my iPhone, and I got the notification and I looked at it. He created an entire Christmas list for his family, for my family. He had everybody individually listed, and he came up with ideas on what we're doing for Christmas. And it's that little thing. It probably took him 10 minutes, but it lets me know that he's sharing the load, right? Because life does life stuff, right? Like we all get busy, we all get overwhelmed, okay? And when you have somebody that's like, "Hey, let me come alongside you and share the load," it just means the world. So little things like that are thoughtful go such a long way. Okay, finally, number 12. This is a big one. Might have saved the best for last. I think one of the reasons we've had a I'm going to say highly successful. It's highly successful. It's emotionally close, it's healthy, and it's securely attached. How have we been able to do that for 3 years and continuing to grow more in love? It's emotional intelligence. And I would throw self-awareness under that. I can tell you this, we both have done a ton of work on ourselves. I have had mentors, I've had coaches, I've gone to therapy, I've gone to all kinds of transformational retreats, I've done all kinds of things. I've always believed in investing in myself and my healing, and he has done the same. And I think it's really important that you find a partner who wants to heal, who wants to be self-aware, who wants to cultivate emotional intelligence. So we have done that as individuals, and it has made all the difference in our relationship. And not only that, I feel like by being self-aware and being emotionally intelligent, it allows us to have a depth of connection that I've never had with anyone else, where we really can understand each other's past traumas, the way that we're triggered. We have an understanding of kind of the inner workings of each other's brains, and it's very, very, very helpful for our relationship. So obviously, this is a long list, but I was going to only do 5, and then I just kept coming up with more things, and I wanted to make sure that you had all the secrets. These are really powerful. I hope you think about them. I hope you apply them. They probably work in all relationships. I know that they do. So whatever relationship you're in, why don't you see if you can apply these things? And obviously, if you're going, oh my gosh, Dr. Morgan, I need your help. I need to become securely attached. I want that kind of relationship that you're describing that's easy, that's deeply connected, that can grow, right? If that's you, then I would love to help you. I mean, I've helped so many people at this point. We have so many success stories and people who have really come into the Empowered.Secure.Loved program and totally changed their lives. And so many of those incredible clients of ours are in wonderful relationships. So you're not alone. No matter what's happened in your past, we've helped people who've gone through divorces. We've helped people who have been in abusive, toxic relationships. We've helped people who've been single for 10 years. We've helped people in their early 20s. We've helped people in their 60s. It doesn't matter where you are, okay? All that matters is that you commit to doing the inner work. So I'd love to help you. Go apply to the program. Just use the link in the show notes. And right now, you will get the best offer we've had all year. It is the Black Friday Secure Love Bundle, where you are getting all that bonus content. And I know it's just going to be so high value. So I love that this episode happened. Shout out to my fiance for helping it happen. I hope you got a lot out of it. And of course, I love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram. Let me know what you thought of this episode. And obviously, if you end up ordering one of our limited edition hats, the Boundaries Are Hot hats, okay? If you end up getting one of these, make sure you take a picture, share it to your stories, and tag me on Instagram. I can't wait to hear from you all. I'm sending you so much love. And of course, as always, I'm wishing you high self-worth and great relationships. I'll talk to you soon.